Hey there, my friend. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. And today is a special episode because we are interviewing one of our amazing Fit Father brothers, but actually we're interviewing the winner of our Q2 2023 Transformation Contest, the one and only Joey Newmiller. This guy is a powerhouse. Obviously, because he won the transformation contest, he made an incredible transformation in a short amount of time. I mean, he lost over 60 pounds. He has muscle now. And if you saw him in the gym, like, he looks like the fit guy. And like a couple months ago, he would have been too embarrassed to even go into the gym, at like roughly 5'6", 5'7", at 220 pounds. And he's down in his 150s now. Like, talk about fighting weight. But the weight is just part of it. I mean, as you'll hear from Joey's story, it was a big thing for him to buy this program. I mean, not only did he realize that his life was heading in a bad direction with a young family and a lot of financial pressures, but he took all of that stuff, all those things that could hold many guys back as excuses, and he turned that into fuel to say, I'm going to not only buy this program, but I'm going to go all in. And within the first 30 days, he lost over 20 pounds, and he kept on stacking his success with so many reasons that he could have quit. You're going to see a man that's just totally on fire for himself, for his family, and his results are a byproduct of that level of commitment. So get ready to be inspired. Get ready to understand that this journey, it does inherently have challenges, but those challenges can be reframed and embraced in a way that they become a personal growth tool for you, that they become a personal purification tool for you, and that this isn't just a fitness program. This is a path to a new lifestyle. This is a path to inner healing where you feel aligned with yourself, and it's a pathway to set a new trajectory for your family too when they see you transform and naturally pick off on all this great stuff that you're putting out. So Joey, congratulations, man. You are an absolute beast. I'm so proud that you're a member of our Fit Father Brotherhood, and I'm super excited for our whole brotherhood to hear this amazing conversation. Let's get into it right now. All right, Joey, welcome officially to the Fit Father Project podcast, my friend. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor, honestly. I didn't think that this would happen ever, but here I am.
Isn't that the funny thing? Like, you sign up for a fitness program, and I think you could share your story about how in some respects it was a little bit by accident, and then you start to use the thing, and then you transform, and now at the time of listening this, it's fair to announce that you were actually our transformation contest winner for Q2 of 2023. So you're here having made what we deem to be the most powerful transformation. And I feel honored to be able to interview you and hear about your journey and all it took for you to accomplish this. So to get straight into that, please tell us a little bit about you, your family, maybe your name, your age, where you're from, and anything you'd like to share about family and work, and then we'll get into it.
My name is Joey Newmiller. I'm 33 this year. I've got two beautiful little daughters, one 4 years old, one 2 years old. The 2-year-old, she's had a little bit of a rough bump so far. She was born with hip dysplasia, so we've been going back and forth, and she just had her surgery this year. Healed up really nice. She's doing great, walking, moving. Now we got her in physical therapy now, so we're going down that road right now. 4-year-old, she's wonderful in school, doing some early school, getting ready.
Nice.
And gonna jump in this next year. I got a wife about 7 years younger than me. So she's about 25, 26. Really dedicated mom. I couldn't have done any of this without her. She's been so flexible and willing to work with me in this crazy hectic schedule. I'm from Warroad, Minnesota. That's way up by the Canadian border. Like, I could walk across the border if I wanted.
Well, welcome to summer finally, right?
Yeah, we got some nasty winters and we got some really hot, humid summers. So it's pretty rough up here.
And for work, what are you up to?
I started a flooring and tiling business probably 6 years ago, back when I lived down by the Twin Cities. And then we decided to move up here to be closer to family when we had our first daughter. And then when we got up here, it was a rough start, new area for the business. Didn't really take off like I wanted. A lot of competition up here. So I had to find a job. I ended up working for Marvin Windows for a little bit. Didn't like the factory scene. And then I fell into a job with Pepsi, actually.
Nice.
So I drive for I'm a relief driver for Pepsi. That means when one of the main drivers is on vacation or sick, I take over their route. And I work in the warehouse and pick all the nice, fun, sweet stuff that we don't get to eat anymore, or we shouldn't eat.
There is some irony there, isn't there? Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's tough. So,
well, I mean, it sounds like it. I mean, definitely a lot of pressures, like young family. I just want to say again, I'm grateful that your 2-year-old daughter is on the straight and narrow from the surgery. And I mean, I think it's going to be like you can probably reflect on in your life. Early challenges can sometimes be a blessing in disguise, as she learns to grow and find the good in this. And I'm grateful she has you guys, and especially with all you know about the body now. So take us into how you found out about the program, what was kind of going on in your life. I mean, we'll go into origin story as deep as you want to go, but like, where did this Fit Father journey start for you? And like, what kind of prompted you to start to check out, like, I got to get healthy?
Before I came on this podcast, I tried to prepare myself as well as I can. And honestly, for something like this, I don't think you can really prepare for it. So when I found you guys, I was at the heaviest weight I've ever been in my life, which was 220 pounds. And I'll put this into perspective. I'm 5'7", okay? And at 220 pounds, that's way too heavy for 5'7".
For sure.
And I was feeling bad about myself, man. I didn't feel good. I was tired. Everybody's story, they're tired, they're lethargic, they're not enough energy. I'm telling you, heartburn every single day for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Which, it was awful. I had close to sleep apnea. I had rising blood pressure and just all these problems. And I had to figure out something for myself and my family. My boss at work, it's funny because we had this conversation. He had started trying to get into shape himself because he's a little bit heavier set. And that kind of pushed me to do it. We had this conversation of like, he asked me, if you or your family or your daughters were in trouble and you had to get them out, would you be able to do it? And that question right there resonated with me so much.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't. If there was a fire and we had to get out, I couldn't do it. I wasn't in the shape for that.
Yeah.
So that kind of ignited this fire inside of me to try to find something to work for me in my busy schedule. So I started going on the internet and typing on Google and YouTube and watching video after video. And it was either a Google or a YouTube. You popped up, man. And I started watching video after video because you weren't just like another fitness program where they're like, hey, you stick to this schedule, you eat these things, good luck. You told us why.
Yeah.
You told us how, and you told us when.
Yeah.
And you taught us. It wasn't just something that you dropped in our lap.
Yeah.
So I came across that. And for a person like me, making an investment into something like that, I have to do it. I have to complete it. It's not something that I've been living paycheck to paycheck for as long as I can remember.
Right.
My wife's a stay-at-home mom, so I'm the only one that is bringing in income. And that was a conscious decision we made, So it's been a tough road. So I decided, hey, this guy, I want to do this. And I made it. I bought FF30X. And then I accidentally, you were offering the 1-year membership. And I thought it was an add-on to the price. So I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I found out later it wasn't. And I was like, oh no, I spent too much. My wife is not going to be happy. But I convinced her that it was going to all be okay.
Yeah.
And that I was going to do this and it was going to be great for everyone. And I'm here. And
dude,
it's great.
You are here. And now I think you just teed this up for us to kind of describe and hear about your journey of how you got from that moment to here. I just want to comment though, man, I kind of got like chills and it hit me so deep about the question that the person you were working with asked you, like, basically, could you, the primal question was like, can you actually provide and take care of your family, like physically? Can you provide them the security? And which is so deep, right? I mean, that's on you. Are you congruent? You got yourself there. It's with them. You're not like hitting on this role. And then, you tack on the commitment with the finances and how much that money meant to you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you got a perfect storm of a lot of motivation surging here. So tell me about what it's like when you're getting up and going on FF30X, whether it's through the setup steps, your experience in the first month, things that really stick out in your memory about that early phase. And then let's take it all the way to where you're at now, losing over 60 pounds, packing on muscle, and like looking like the fit guy at the gym now. I mean, wow, right? So
Yeah.
take us through the early times and we'll keep on going through your journey.
Like that motivation that I was talking about with the, I spent the money. This had to work, man. It had to work. So there wasn't another option. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do this for 2 weeks and see how I feel. This was, I paid for this first month. I'm going through this 30 days and this is happening. So I went through that first initial startup phase. With the FF30X, I mean, you can start it whenever you want, which was nice. It didn't make me feel like I was in too much of a rush.
Yep.
So I maybe started on the nutrition a week earlier than all of the exercise just to make sure I had everything together. For groceries, I wanted to learn the shopping, make sure I had enough money for the groceries.
Yep.
And I started looking at the supplements that you guys sell. I've been in shape before. This isn't something that, I was always overweight. I've been in shape. I've been fat. I've been skinnier. I've been skinny fat. I've been all of it in between. But I tried your super fuel, man. And I got to tell you, that stuff is A+. Awesome. Yeah. So that startup phase was actually really good because it ran on my own time. So I enjoyed that. And I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts since I've started, and all the guys are saying the same thing. And I'm going to parrot it. Those MRT workouts, man, as you know, holy crap.
Especially in the early days. That's humbling, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you're overweight or if you're smaller, it doesn't matter. They still kick my butt today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane that you do it the one time. I think I did the Apex 10 the first time. I didn't even make it all the way up to 10. I made it to 7 and quit. I wasn't proud of that. It weighed on me. Got up the next day and, I did what I was supposed to do. I followed the plan, man. And then the next day I did the second Apex and I completed it up and down. I mean, it took a long time, don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
I did it. And I got to tell you, I'm an ex-smoker. I used to smoke for 15 years. I do still vape, but I haven't touched a cigarette in 2.5 years. So
nice.
It's a small step, and it's not necessarily the best step, but it's a step. So when I'm telling you I'm gassed after those workouts, man, I am gassed. My heart rate is pumping.
But fair to say, I mean, you could probably, I mean, I think it's fair to say your heart and cardiovascular fitness is like dramatically improved, even with still getting some nicotine in the vaping. Like, I imagine your heart's just phenomenally better now than it was because it's getting such exercise.
My resting heart rate, I didn't think I'd ever see it. I mean, it's 50s.
Yeah.
55.
Nice.
I mean, I feel so much better. Even still vaping, man. My lungs are clear. I could run forever if I wanted to,
That's cool.
So it hasn't really held me back at all.
That's awesome. All right. So you start tackling the Apex in your first month.
Yep.
And you get it the second time and you keep on working that. I'd like you to speak more into the workouts for that first little bit of time, but also like with being on such a tight budget and also having such a high commitment, like what did you figure out on your nutrition? Like what became your kind of like go-to nutrition plan in the early days, and kind of how has it changed?
So a little bit about the working out. The program's great because you really only need the dumbbells.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have kettlebells if you want, but that's what made it so appealing to me is like, when you're a bigger guy like that, you don't want to go out in public and you don't want to go to a gym and you don't want to show yourself off working hard because you look like crap.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can do this at home. That's perfect. I'll do it when my girls go to bed. I'll do it when my wife's in bed, and this will work out great. And that's what I did for the first month. I did it all at home. And actually, I didn't do the big 5 workout.
Yeah.
Because I didn't entirely read into that enough. And I thought that it was something I had to go to the gym for, but you don't. So, I did all the MRTs. I did a little bit of running later at night. And man, by the end of that 30 days, I could go 110, no problem.
Nice.
It was, everybody kind of like underestimates those, and they start a little bit higher than they should, I think.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I had to drop it. And that's probably why I completed it, actually, the second time I did it, because I think I dropped down to 15 pounds.
For sure.
And I did that for a long time. And then I did that maybe the next 2 times, raised it up 5 more pounds. And by the end, I was doing 25 pounds across the board. And
yeah,
it felt great. It was awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And now, before we move on to like what it was like going through the next phases and changing up the workouts, like what worked for you on nutrition, and like what works for you now? Because that was a huge driver of your weight loss too. I know that.
Yeah. I mean, huge. That nutrition, man, I was eating so bad before, and until I started eating off of your plan, I didn't know what eating good was, honestly. So my go-to in the morning, the reason why I started early on the nutrition is because I looked at the shake. I wanted that shake.
Yep.
That shake looked great. So I made sure I got everything for that. I had to order stuff off of Amazon, because where we live, our closest Walmart is about an hour and a half away. So we don't have anything other than local grocery stores, and they don't carry some of the stuff. So I ordered, the MCT oil. I ordered good organic chia seeds and all that stuff. And, obviously bought my spinach from the local grocery store. So I started out with that shake, and that first time I tried that, man, you think you're going to taste spinach, but that cacao just is so good.
For sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that was my go-to every morning. I will wake up and I would make that. I would prep it the day before, everything, and I'd have my spinach frozen in the freezer in a bag, and I'd have 8 bags in there with the portions that I needed, and I'd wake up and I'd get my almond milk out, my frozen bag. I'd make my shake, and off to work I'd go. And for the lunch, I did the manwich. I feel like everybody picks the manwich out of convenience, but that was so good. I did that for the first month, and then we'll get to it later on, but later on I kind of swapped off of it to salads.
Yeah.
Just because the amount of spinach I was putting on that sandwich was probably a little more than I should have been. So it started getting a little, so I had to switch off from the manwich as much as I loved it. But honestly, the affordability wasn't too bad, because even now I'm still doing really well, even for the amount that we make, weekly. Everybody goes into it and they think that eating healthier is going to cost you a lot more. Well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to eat less and you feel more full, so you don't have to buy as much, and you can buy these things in bulk if you can, which makes it cheaper. And you find the deals for anybody who's on like a budget, or, is sitting kind of in the same spot as me and doesn't really make a whole lot of money. You can do this on a budget. Obviously you want to try to get organic if you can, but even if it's not organic, it's a lot better than that Dairy Queen or the McDonald's that you're smashing every evening or used to, So it really wasn't too bad. And I'm a guy that obviously I got fat, so I like to eat. I can eat just about anything, so I wasn't very picky about anything that we want to chop it for.
Nice. And how did the nutrition changes work at home as it relates to your wife and your daughters and stuff like that? Like, you're changing, but like, how does it kind of mesh into your whole family life and structure?
Well, my wife is one of the types of people, she could sit down and eat an entire jar of peanut butter if she wanted to and probably lose 5 pounds. So, she was able to keep buying what she wanted to. I didn't want to restrict her. And we had the conversation of like, if you end up liking what you see from me and you want to try, and you want to maybe start eating a little bit healthier than you are, let's dive into it. But as far as that goes, the kids, they kind of just eat what they like. We try to incorporate the fruits and the veggies and, obvious proteins, chicken and stuff. But if they want some waffles out of a box or something, we'll buy them. So working at Pepsi has taught me a lot of discipline and control. So the nutrition separation at home wasn't very hard for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, because you're around stuff all the time, and you're also like reaffirming mentally like your commitment to not just like pull off some of these snacks or sugary stuff that's all around you. So like,
right,
that's powerful. I mean, it's kind of like you're in the dojo all the time, like making choices. And I'm sure now it doesn't require basically any willpower. I mean, maybe once in a while, like something looks good, but you probably change your mindset so phenomenally.
Yeah. I mean, on the road, when I'm on the road, I'd say that's probably the toughest is when we're traveling.
Hey, it's Dr. Ray. I want to quickly pause this episode to thank you for listening to this Fit Father podcast. I am just blown away at how amazing this podcast has become. I had no idea when I started FFP around 10 years ago that it would grow into such an impactful mission. And I want to let you know that I am so grateful to be connected to you in this lifetime. And on behalf of me and my entire team, we are so grateful to be in your life, helping you get and stay healthier for your family. That's what I want to share. Just some gratitude from my heart to yours. Let's get back to today's episode. Okay, so I want to know about now, after you get through that initial period, like roughly how much weight did you lose in the first month? And then I want to get into what happens when you move on to like the further phases of the program.
I think I lost in between 20 and 25 pounds my first month.
I had a feeling you had a big drop. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was huge. If I could like somehow screen share my phone, I have a graph that you look at it, it looks scary in the beginning. All that water weight and all that stuff flushes out.
It's like he cut off a leg or something.
Yeah. And then it dials back and levels out into the healthy drop. But yeah, that initial drop, man, I was like, whoa.
Okay. So let's talk about what happens in the next phases when you're trying new workouts. Did you try any of the intermittent fasting and stuff like that? And like, as you progress through the journey, like, what was that like?
Phase 2, man, by the time I got done with phase 1, I felt so good. You feel a lot more in shape. You can lift a whole lot more. You can just do a whole lot more. You feel great. So I was like, okay, phase 2, let's get it. And I started diving in, probably 4 days before my phase 1 ended, because I wanted to prepare myself. You want to always be ready for it, because you're like, I want to dive the next day that my first phase ends. Like, let's do it. So I started that phase 2. That's double trouble, isn't it? Double trouble in Monroe.
Yeah, it is double trouble. Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'll tell you guys, if anybody's listening that is thinking about starting this, start it. But those MRTs, they don't get easier. I will tell you that right now. Double trouble was tough. But by that time, because you kind of recommend getting an incline bench, right? That's the phase where you should have a bench. I didn't have a bench at the time. I was really worried about it. I had happened to look on Facebook, sell and swap. I was looking all over the place for a cheap bench that I could get. One of my coworkers sold me one for $10. So
that's awesome.
I threw that sucker outside in the backyard and on my patio, and I did that for probably the first week, because the town I live in, they were just building a new wellness center, which is the gym I go to now. And it wasn't open yet, and I was waiting. It was like 2 weeks away. So I just started at home, and I was like, as soon as that opens up, I'm going to the gym. I look better. I feel better. Now I don't care if people look at me, the slightly fat guy in the gym trying to get in shape.
Right.
So I got a membership, and man, excelled. They had everything I needed. They had dumbbells, kettlebells, they had heavy weights, squat racks, all of it. So everything that I needed. The fasting though, I love it, but dear God, I get a little snappy towards the end. I will not lie to you.
You're not alone, brother. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I planned out my fasting days on my HIIT cardio days. So, I wasn't going to be gassed when I was doing strength training or my MRTs.
Yeah.
So I planned it out very, very well to where I could do it on my hit days, and then I would go and do my hit cardio towards like the last hour of my fast.
That's so smart. And then you get to eat afterwards. Yeah.
Yep. And then you come home and make your big salad and with a bunch of protein, and away you go, man. It was great.
Nice.
But yeah, those 2 fasting days, they were hard for me in the beginning. But I mean, the second week in of doing it, I was like, man, I honestly really like this because it gives me way more energy than I did in phase 1, which is surprising. You wouldn't think that it would give you energy, but I mean, I through the roof. It's crazy. Yeah, you really do learn to love the fast.
What's that that's reflective of, though, is like, if we got into the science, these are like deep metabolic changes that are happening. Like your cells are like producing more energy because of all the things that you're doing. So you experience energy, but what's happening is like healing at a cellular level, which is like so cool. I'm glad you're experiencing that. Yeah.
You had that podcast too. I just listened to maybe a week and a half ago on the fasting. And you learned your podcast channel, man, is so great. You learn so much.
Nice.
I love it.
That's awesome. All right. So you're getting stronger. You're now in the gym, and I'm sure you're like getting a little more comfortable doing the lifting too, just because like probably starting to see some changes to definition and muscles, maybe getting a little bit of a pump and getting stronger. And that feels awesome. So what's that like as you start to see your body change, and how's your mindset shifting alongside those changes?
I'm probably in a little bit of a minority here, but I know I look better, and I sure feel better, and I know that I look better, but in my mind, sometimes I still feel like that fat guy, man. Like I'm a guy that I've been down for so long up here that's a hurdle that, like, after this physical stuff is done, I have to work on this,
Yeah.
And that's just a whole nother journey in itself. So I look good, I feel good, but some days I still feel like that fat guy, man.
For sure. And I mean, these are old and deep patterns. It's not like they go away on their own. And I'll say, like, there probably is more conscious work that you could do on like changing your identity by like doing journaling or mental statements, or just like realizing that some of these beliefs you hold are like no longer true.
Right.
But I would say you are still working on it by noticing the way you feel that way, still showing up and getting after it. Like, I still think it's like there's a purification process that's happening. And, maybe at some point you get a little more tactical about analyzing those beliefs and where they are rooted, and forgiving them or letting them go. But like, I think you're working on it personally, and I'm sure you're seeing some gains, but I think it's good to hear too. Like, if people to look at you now would think this guy's just like one of the fit guys at the gym, and you're having a completely different inner experience.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, give me I want to hear about maybe some non-scale victories that you've had along your journey. Stuff that's like, obviously the scale is big, but anything that you can think of that's just like a super cool moment, things people said, or just things you experienced, or just wow moments along the journey.
Well, I'll get the obvious one out of the way, the clothing, right? I mean, I was wearing like 40-inch waists. By the end of that first month, man, I could hold my pants out from my waist almost this much. I mean, I could almost fit my wife inside my pants with.
That's crazy.
So that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
And then following along, my daughter, she's been watching, I did that first month at home. She wanted to work out with me. She's only 4, but I mean, her being active and wanting to actively participate was really cool.
That's beautiful.
Telling me things like, Daddy, you look bigger and stronger than Maui. And it's like, I don't know, Maui's pretty big and strong. Not quite yet. But that would be another one. And then, I had 1 or 2 people come up to me, and when I was first losing that 30 plus pounds, and they thought I was sick. They thought something was wrong with me. And I had to tell them, no, I'm in the best health that I've ever been in my life. I mean, including my 20s and early 20s, like, I've never felt this way in my life. And being able to say that out loud,
right?
Just kind of like, it's that acknowledgement of the hard work you put in from somebody else outside of your family,
Yeah.
So that was a big one.
It's powerful.
Trying to think.
No, it's beautiful. I mean, what's your wife's reaction been like now, like this far down the road? I mean, obviously in the first bit, supportive of you, and what does she say now? And what does she say about you doing this podcast, or let alone winning the transformation contest and all that stuff? Like, what's it been like with her in your relationship?
I mean, it's obviously hasn't fixed all of our problems, but my weight was a huge deal, man. Because it's not, in a marriage or a relationship, it's not all physical, but if anybody tells you that none of it's physical, they're lying. Because, I mean, you have to be a little attracted to your partner. And I wasn't attractive to her when I was big. And when I started losing the weight, she couldn't believe it, because before, when I was big, I would look at her and I would say, yeah, I could probably lose a good 20, 25 pounds. And that's about it. And in my head, after I lost that first 25 pounds, I was like, man, I have way more than 20, 25 pounds to lose. And she's just like, when is it good enough? Like, you're looking pretty slim, you're looking pretty good. And she's just been my little, my sideline cheerleader the whole way. She obviously loves it. She's happy that I'm happy. This contest, this podcast, all of these, like, it's strange because you start this journey and you start seeing all these positive things happen to you personally with your health and your fitness, but other things start to follow you, man. Like,
Sure.
my whole mindset, everything, you see the world in a different light, it's not so dark and so scary anymore. So, I mean, all these things started happening. And when all of this happened in probably the last 2 weeks,
Beautiful.
we're both just beside ourselves, Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, and what's amazing is, like, without you knowing the end result of this book and this chapter, you were literally creating this blessing for yourself the whole time.
Yeah.
Through all of that sweat equity, all of that hard work, all of that commitment. So you just, like, never know what you're going to receive. You just know the purity of your desire to improve.
That's right.
And you're making that today, your willingness to just say, I'm in, I'm showing up today.
Yeah.
And then look what happens. And you know what? I mean, we could even hypothesize, like, with a trajectory that you're now on with what you know, let alone when your oldest daughter is 10 and she's getting into sports. And now you have, like, literally 6 more years of being in this in whatever direction you continue to take this in. How much are you going to know? How much will you have learned? Like, dude, you created a whole trajectory for your family. Like, I'll say, like, I think you guys have, like, at this very early stage in raising your kids, like, dude, you set up a culture subtly for beautiful things for them too. So I just want to give you more props on that. They don't see it yet, but they're going to feel it, and it's going to feel normal for them, right? They're going to know, like, healthier foods and stuff, and they're not going to have to unwind like you did.
Right. That was the most important thing, is trying to set them up for a better life than I created for myself.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing.
No doubt about that. All right. So what's some advice do you have for some new guys starting out? Early phases of this, they think they want it, they know they want it, but what are some early advice in the beginning period?
It's tough starting out. When you're starting a program like this, I wasn't the heaviest guy, but even, like, as heavy as I was, like I said, up here was a mess, man. And when you're heavy like that, you don't feel good about yourself. If you're thinking about starting this program, buy it, get it, invest in it. Don't just buy it, but make it an investment, man.
Yeah.
Like, start it when you're ready to start it, okay? But do it before it's too late.
Yeah.
And when you do start it, don't be an all or nothing kind of guy, but go all in, okay?
That's so smart.
Yeah. I mean, that you go into it and the discipline will come. You need to just start it and get through those first couple weeks, and you will find out as you progress, the better shape you're in, the more you start liking that nutrition, because all that bad crap has gotten washed out of you. It's going to follow. And even if you don't lose as much weight as you wanted to right away, it will happen. I promise you.
Yeah. I think just like that mindset and expectation, like I literally wrote that down, like, don't be all or nothing, but go all in. It's like so subtle, but so powerful, man. It's like the
Yeah.
heart of true commitment, but also the flexibility of knowing that the first couple of weeks are hard. Changes will come at whatever time and pace they come in.
Yeah.
Stuff's being washed out of you. It's a natural like detoxification period, if you will, mentally, physically. But just knowing that going in is great. And I think that's advice too for anytime there's guys listening to this for sure who have gone through phase 1, 2, et cetera. And like life happened, you know, family member dies, stress at work, and they slipped off track. Like that's the reminder, right? We always have the reminder to come back to home base because it's like things happen in life, but that's a really powerful mindset. Now, I want to ask you a similar question, but like some advice you have for people who have been at this for a while, and maybe yourself now too, where you're no longer in the beginning stage. Like, what's the advice you have for people who are a little more seasoned, who are looking into the future, who have some amount of distance covered in the rearview mirror? Like, what would you say for yourself and for those guys who have some reps under their belt?
You know, I listen to a lot of different people, including you. Everybody knows who David Goggins is, right? I mean, start to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where you're going to find your growth. You know, keep going, keep hitting it hard. If you miss a couple days, like everybody says, no big deal. Don't fall off the plan, because that's what got you here in the first place. Is you know, you don't want to wash away all that hard work for nothing, just for a couple good tasting snacks and some, you know, soda or whatever your vice is.
Yeah.
Do it for you. Be a little bit selfish. It's not selfish to say that you're doing this for yourself, because without you being healthy, your family can't be healthy, and your family needs you. When you're feeling like you're, you know, a little bit low, or you don't want to do this day, or you don't want to, you know, you're starting to fall off track, get that back in your head. Watch your initial mission statement video. There's a lot of things that you can do to keep yourself on track, and as long as you stay in that mindset, I think you'll be okay.
Yes.
But also utilize the brotherhood, man, because that's one of the best tools in this arsenal is the brotherhood. Those guys are great. The good times and the bad times. The bad times are the most important ones, man, because when you're falling off or you're feeling like you're starting to slip, get in that brotherhood.
Yeah.
They all have your back. It's awesome.
That's so true. And like, I hope people hear that. It's like the bad times are the most important times when you can get help, because it's like, that's actually when you need to reach out and lean in more when you're struggling. And that requires like that vulnerability that I think for many guys, it takes like a lot of years of like learning to get to that place, because we've been taught that that's not powerful and that's like being weak. But it's like almost the exact opposite. It's like, guys, I am struggling. Here's me completely honest, and like lay some truth on me, need a little encouragement. And then if you get that at that time, that means that a month of a bad month doesn't turn into like a restarting for a year. It just might be this last month wasn't great. And like, that's a tighter curve back onto the path. And like, we're all curving back onto the path always. Like sometimes we're really on it, but like drifts are just drifts. It's part of the life. We want to be doing this.
You're good straight.
Yeah, exactly. And if you understand that, you're in great shape. All right. I want to ask you, my closing question is for you right now. You know, you joined a fitness program because you wanted to get yourself healthy, but you actually ended up joining the Fit Father Project. So I want to ask you, like, what does it mean for you to be a fit father?
It means everything to me. Honestly, this isn't just a fitness program to me. This is literally a new lifestyle, man. My physical appearance has changed, but most importantly, up here has changed. I think in a different way than I ever have. I've got so much drive, new aspirations. You know, I like I said, I see the world in a whole different light.
Yeah.
So being a fit father honestly means the world to me, and I don't regret a single second of it.
That's so beautiful, man. I mean, and I'll say this, it's like, there's a lot of people who buy this program, and maybe even people similar to you, young family, financial pressures, but I don't think most guys get the level and the degree of results they get because you really went all in on this thing and you made it is so important to you. And like, it's the fact that you connected with the program material with such like passion and fervor that you brought out all of this goodness into your life. Because otherwise, let's be honest, what is this? Like, it's a very powerful chat forum. some pieces of paper with some good advice and some videos. And like,
Right.
that's something, but you're the one who breathes the spirit into it. And so
Yeah.
for guys who feel like they could engage more with this program, I present to you my man right here as a living example of like what's possible when you really put a lot of heart into this. And I'm inspired, bro. And I want to say again, congratulations on the transformation contest and the fact that I literally get to hang out with you in Sedona, Arizona in a few months. That's going to be just such a cool experience for both of us.
I can't wait.
And I get a capstone, right, for all these beautiful things that you've already experienced and much to come. So thank you, bro, for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.